Hello and welcome to Amjambo time. My guest is Mardochee Mbongi. It's October and we are less than a month to presidential election. Many events have been taking stage as candidates get into the final sprint of elections. Locally in Maine, many things are happening, including the hiring of the very first director of Office for New Americans. Let me ask my guest Mardochee Mbongi, what do you see and hear in the community around you?
Thank you very much, Jean Akuzimana, for welcoming me in this episode. My name is Mardochee Mbongi. As you introduced me, I'm the current president of the Congolese community of Maine. Yes, good things are happening. The election season is out there. The United States of America is going to have a very great moment of demonstration of what the democracy looks like in the United States of America. They will hold the presidential elections and there will be a female and a male running for the office. That's great. This is the second of the history of the United States of America. So all of us are impassioned to see how the outcome of these elections will be.
Wow. And let me come back to you. You are the leader of Congolese community in Maine or of Maine. And you have been leading this organizational association for a number of 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So 2 years at the leadership of this organization. So what can we discuss? What happened? What is the accomplishment, the achievements that you are putting on the balance now?
Oh, great. It's been such a pleasure and a great responsibility for me to lead this organization created in 2012, incorporated in 2012 by we call our elders. And then they've struggled a lot to bring it to a level and to the level where when I came, I found it functioning. And some years later, I became the president of this organization after elections. It is founded in a mind of democracy, where every 2 years they run election for either the renewal of the mandate of the current president or entering of a different president who could win the elections. So I won the elections in 2022 and I ran the organization for 2 years. I found it with some programs, and then during my term, I developed many programs as well. Today, the COCOMAINE count 6 programs, very important program that provide direct services to the newly arrived immigrants and to some of the immigrants who have been living here all their lives. So we created services. We do a lot, which is beyond our capacity to galvanize resources in terms of financial resource. We have developed a system where even a person who has just arrived today can be a volunteer and support the organization, and beyond that, support the community members. We have extended our support to the folks who are even not Congolese, as we understand that immigrants share the common destiny. Even you are a Latino, an Angolan, and Burundian, and whoever, wherever you come from, if you need support from the Congolese community, we call in short COCOMAINE, we welcome you and we provide your services. One of the famous programs that we have implemented or we keep implementing till now, and then it's even pushed us to have some talks with ILAP, which is one of the major organizations of 30 years of existence. It's administrative support. The administrative support, it is thought and developed by Immigrant Community Integration, ICI, which is a technical support organization for COCOMAINE. And COCOMAINE implements this program. And this program is entitled to help asylum seekers to understand where their case is located, how to report remotely if they cannot show in person to DHS or to ICE, and what is the good time for them to apply for asylum, and which is the clinic we can send them to. Either they go to ILAP, they go to Hope Act, or they do the self directed service by themselves at COCOMAINE's location using our computers, as they can access the public information of immigration through our devices. So that program has empowered, as of today, more than 800 people since March 2023 till today. They have applied for asylum either at COCOMAINE location or referred. We have over 500 individuals who have received their work authorization and work permit throughout our services. And we have over 217 individuals who were able to show before the immigration judge at COCOMAINE's location. We call it master hearing and individual hearing. All of those programs or services have been developed during our 2 years of presidency running this organization. We developed also a program that helped people who don't have a place to stay at their first day. We call it first 2 nights. Either we put them at the hotel, or we negotiate with a community member who has an extra living space to offer them a space to stay temporary before they secure a spot at the shelter. We also started by driving people back and forth to Boston or to Chelmsford until we finally found a way to have them file to ask the court to allow them to have the internet-based hearing. Beyond more than that, we created a program, a soccer program for younger generation to use the time that is available for them during summer vacation to enjoy the football. We call it football in Africa, it's soccer. And then we created that program which ran between June 30th to August 24th. And 6 teams from various backgrounds. A team from Burundi called MSD, a team from Angola called FC Ben, a team from Congolese called FC Alonga, another team from Congolese called FC New Manners, a team from Upper Royal from Somali background, a team from how they call them, Carlos Auro, that is a Latino team. Understand, we brought around about 6 nations together to play soccer during 2 months or 3 months, and they were playing 18 games round until we reached the final. So we called it the cultural, the celebration of the diversity. We enjoyed that time as we created a sort of a bond through our relationship and understand what talents each one has and how we can bring it together. This was in light of the football team that Portland is planning to create, and we have brought those people together where best players can come from and join the city of Portland's football team. So our presidency was with challenges. We faced a lot. Moreover, is the financial challenges. COCOMAINE lacks capacity to fundraise, and COCOMAINE needs to lean on the fiscal sponsor. And sometimes you have some programs which don't align with the vision of the fiscal sponsor, and that will preclude you from accessing funding. Now, our vision for the next 2 years, as I'm going to run again for the office, is from the first 2 months to equip COCOMAINE with the structure that will allow it to have the nonprofit status 501c3 to enable COCOMAINE to fundraise itself and not operate under the shadow of fiscal sponsors again.
I think that there is a quite number of achievements that you highlighted, and it sounds like many things that you have accomplished. So I was, again, to come to soccer, how was the impression within the community, and what's next? Is it something that is going to occur every year? Would you tell me more about that?
Great. That soccer program is going to be recurrent every year. The community people embraced and liked. As they said, if I'm wrong, I don't know, but there has never been a program during that long period of 18 games, 2 months or 3 months in a row, uh, playing 3 or 2 games per week. It was pretty intense, and that was very important. It was long awaited, and people really liked that, and they demand that we can keep on providing such program every year. And this year we're going to start early as December to fundraise to support that program, because we had a lot of challenges to accomplish that due to the fact that our fundraise goal was 20,000, but we only collected $430. And later on, we got a support of 1,000 from one soccer lover after even we concluded the program. To say we only were able to collect $1,430 while we spent over $11,000 and still left with some debt to pay. So we're going to start early to look for funding and enlarge the number of participants. This time we think of 10 teams.
Yeah, I think this is a social activity. And when you think about it, and when you think about the outcomes compared to the financial deficit that you're mentioning, are you saying that there is much to gain if someone could finance it? Are you interested in potential financial supporters to come on board? Would you allude more on that?
Yes, of course. We are seeking funders. We are seeking for sponsors because we understand that the social impact is very positive. It really has a great impact to the people as we come together 3 times a week, like 2 games Saturday, 1 game Sunday. So that creates that social connectedness, intensity that help people know each other, share, and develop the sort of a network. It became a sort of a networking movement. So we believe if we get people of good faith, funders and sponsors coming to support that, and even thinking of creating an advisory board that will stand for that program, and that is going to incorporate people from various backgrounds. Because we want also to implement the transparency when it comes to the funding and to the use of the funding. That's why an advisory board behind this program will be very welcoming. And more than that is funders and sponsors.
And now you are transitioning to the new leadership, which you are a candidate. Is it a deal done, or you are going to have a competition? How do you plan to do that as a president?
So I'm gonna make sure that anybody that takes over after me keeps on with those stand for those programs that we've merely invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, and our brain to create. We did it for the people, we did it for the community. We didn't do that for ourselves. see, if I win again, as I believe I'm gonna win, we will continue with that. But if it happens that I don't win, I'm going to be an advisor to the future presidents to understand what what value that comes after these programs and helping maintain that.
Hmm. I think any election rings bell with uh, some home countries' memories when it comes to democratic process. How are you ensuring that you organize a fair election for the whole association to participate?
Great. Our organization, as you know, is trying to transition from where we are to become a 501c3. So we have already a shadow of a board of director. And then that shadow of a board of director is working on putting in place electoral commission. And the electoral commission is going to be based on the call to the community people, and volunteers would show up, and if they comply with the requirements, they will be the one independently organizing the elections. So this is a process we put in place, hoping that things will be done in a manner that secure each one's interest and maintain the cohesion and the harmony within the community. So the Electoral Commission will be independent to me, independent to the shadow of the board, and that's going to operate due to the arrangements and the agreement that comes along with the policies trying to put in place to secure each candidates and all the electors,
Hmm.
the
Do you
voters.
see
Yeah.
do you see any bad memory coming out with our home countries? I'm saying this because many of the immigrants that we see in Maine or elsewhere, they are the results of sometimes a poor democratic process back home. So, do you have any special thought on that?
Great, especially Democratic Republic of Congo have an history where a president ruled the country for 32 years, Mr. Marshal Mobutu, one of the famous, well-known in the world for his strong speeches and strong personality. But aside that, he was a dictator. He didn't help the country that much. And we had the next president after him was Mr. Joseph Kabila. I mean, Kabila's father, who only ruled for 3 years, and he was killed, assassinated. And then another one took of the office called Joseph Kabila. He ruled the country for 18 years as well. So this is not a good experience where those people ran the country forcibly without respecting the democratic process to hold elections in respect of the constitutions and the laws in place within the country. And then they have been also using forces, deadly forces against the people when you stand for your rights, not respecting the human rights, and there were a lot of abuse, corruptions, and so forth. And this didn't help the country. The result of that most of us are out of the country today, asylum seekers, and then seeking asylum. It is because we did stand against all those deviations, and we became the prey of the government. Now, being here, we have that reflection that anything we want to do, we have to do our best to avoid behaving as our leaders within the country where we come from. So we want to be as democratic as possible. That's why we call on the people to decide on what could be the best process ever for them in order to have an election which is not going to be contested.
Wow. Yeah. So, beyond main borders, there is a stiff competition. Two candidates are competing for the White House. And I was wondering, as a community leader, how do you see the community prepared to be part of this process, knowing that sometimes they overlook the competition or the beyond the main competitions like the White House or Congress?
Great. As the association, we are highly engaged in trying to empower and promote the civic engagement within the community. So we try to make sure that everyone who's eligible or qualified to vote can go out and vote when it comes to the presidential elections of the United States of America. In our community, we have 4 or 6 categories of people. As I said, some of the community members are Americans today, and they are qualified to vote. And then those we really push them to go out and vote, make their choice and influence positively the outcome of the election. What we see is that people are enthusiastic to vote as they already have their candidates in mind and they know why they have to vote for either one or the other. We also see one things that people are not really prepared when it comes to voting, since there should be a lot of activities that enlighten people to understand the importance of voting. Because one of the negative impact of that people have is that countries where they came from, whichever choice you can make will not probably be the one that is going to be proclaimed. And people have that kind of a negative thought like, if we vote for the candidate A or the candidate B, is he really going to be proclaimed? And then it brings the discouragement. And people are like, oh, I'm not gonna stand and put my toes, my feet out there for that, because the person I'm gonna choose is not gonna be proclaimed. Well, we try to teach them to understand we are on a different ground. This is the United States of America, though things might be, but it is a country that stands strongly on democracy. So you need to go out there to support and to strengthen that democracy. If you don't go out there, you're going to weaken that democracy, and that isn't going to be fair to a welcoming country where you received that power to influence the vote.
Wow, that's good. That's a good advice to them. And there is an important question that I always ask you or any community leaders that I met. Associations like COCOMAINE or Burundian communities or Rwandese communities, they face enormous challenge when it comes to achieving some activities. But I want you to tell to our audience, what is the law the associations they are praying or they can potentially pray in local administration and also for immigrants themselves?
We have major roles to play. For example, the week of 26th of August, I was at the State House and trying to deliver a speech on the Awareness Week for the CHW, Community Health Workers. The Governor Mail has proclaimed executive order to proclaim that week to be Awareness Week for CHW, and that was based on the effort of the a lot of organizations that are a member of the main Community Health Workers Initiative. So we, as the association, we are part of it, and I'm one of the advisors within that organization. So we are highly engaged in supporting, in proposing, in pushing into laws and legislations that will ease the life of the people, not only immigrants, but the life of the people, all the people living in the state of Maine. In a local level, We are engaged in organizations either as volunteer or advisors. I only spoke about me, but I'm going to speak about any other organization, people that I meet when I go to important meetings. I see a lot of individuals within the immigrant community at MPA, Main People Alliance. Lastly, we went to Washington, D.C. for 3 days to advocate for the Registry Act, which is a bill of law. If it's passed, 8 million of people will be beneficiary of the green card. And when we came back, we hosted some of activities within the states where we went to senators and representatives. Now, I see organizations like Merck, organizations like Immigrant Welcome Center, and so forth, standing strong in supporting bills and 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 also proposing. All of these are coming along to say that immigrants are decided to strengthen the states which welcome them in trying to be highly engaged in civic activities.
So the direct position for the Office for New Americans, ONA, is out now. They're hiring. Do you have a wish list that this candidate could potentially achieve when he has that position?
Well, the establishment of the Office of a New American, we were highly engaged as we were one of the 3 organizations to be consulted by the planning office. I was amazed to see the 2 out of 3 who have been appointed by the governor. Received in COCOMAINE's office at 175 Lancaster Street, Portland, Maine, Mr. Greg Payne and Mr. Um, there's Mr. Budagu, both of them, they came to consult us and bring our views and ideas and proposals on what the office can be and what the office can do as a job. So we wrote and we put out there the press release on that, and we contributed with our ideas and fought. And we did it twice before we stood to testify the day the bill was introduced. I strongly believe that the Office of a New American will have a lot to achieve in support with the immigrant organizations. But when it comes to the director, my advocacy, my prayer is that the person who's going to be hired be someone that understands the intricacy of what that office should look like.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other thing that you want to add to this conversation?
To this conversation, I'm going to add one thing, like as immigrant living in this state for 8 years, having seen a lot of good things being done, either from the governor or from the cities where we live, I envision that the state of Maine, as it's already known like a sanctuary of immigrants, to empower more immigrants and create more cross-cultural centers for immigrants to really merge with the old-timer, the people who have been living in Maine all their lives. I see a sort of a gap between the immigrants and the Mainers of all the time. There are multiple cultures. There are a lot of diversities behind. If we create cross-cultural centers, that is going to enable capacity between both populations, because we don't only have immigrant populations here. We have also what we call new Mainers. New Mainers can be those immigrants, can also be the people from everywhere in the United States of America coming to live in the state of Maine. They can be Black American or other white populations and Latinos as well. So cross-cultural centers will create the possibility for people to showcase their cultures so people understand each other's, because nobody lives without a culture. We live in culture. If I know your culture, I will respect you better. If you know my culture, you respect me better. And love will come after the respect is established, given the fact that people know and understand the cultures of each populations and embrace that, appreciate that, and by at the end, kind of embody those cultures, and that makes us to be one.
And again, you mentioned about election. Would you say the timeline so that people who will be listening to this conversation may have the idea of when it's happening, the COCOMAINE election, and what they have to be aware of?
The COCOMAINE election should be in October. Mainly, it should be in September because we have a 2 terms renewal. Unfortunately, it didn't happen because some of the arrangements should be done. We have new folks coming, and we needed to put them in a condition where they can vote. And now it was also thought that it can be done in October. Now we are October 5th. We are not still there. The Electoral Commission, which is being organized, as soon as we know who are going to form the Electoral Commission, they will give us the calendar of activities. I guess it can be in October. If not, probably next month. But in short future, we will be able to announce the Electoral Commission and the calendar for candidates to file and also for voters to get ready.
Yeah, Mr. Mardochee, I wish you good luck, or anyone who will take over. If it's not you, but it has been a pleasure always to check on you for the news in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.